of you. Those of you who are here with us, we're reopening today. So we welcome those who are with us in person and those who are on Zoom. I'm Reverend Kathy, and this is Unity North Spiritual Center in Coon Rapids, Minnesota. We are an inclusive community. We welcome and accept all people.
It must be
so
working.
Whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual path, you're welcome here at Unity, and we're glad you're with us today. We're also part of a greater worldwide Unity movement. We're the publishers of the Daily Word magazine, and we've been holding 132 years of prayer vigils for Silent Unity, the prayer ministry of the Unity movement. So prayer is the heart and soul of Unity. And we do have a prayer chaplain with us today, and that's Wendy Erickson. And she's with us in person, so she's available for in-person prayer after service or prayer by telephone. So as usual, those of you who are virtual can give her a call if you need prayer. So her number will show up in announcements. All right, and so today we have our producers today are Tracy Roloff and Nancy Helbig. So we're glad you're with us today. And our worship assistant today is Wanda Horner-Carr. And our musician is Bruce Meunier-Bell. So he's going to lead us in an opening song.
Everybody sing, wherever you are. We can hear you.
Welcome everyone today, and as Reverend Kathy said, I'm Wanda, your worship assistant today. And at this time we greet each other, and so please take a minute to greet each other, and we'll do that by, if you're here in person in the back, you can wave to the camera in the back, and the folks on the screen can wave to us as well. Hello remote people. Hello in-person people. And is there anyone here with us for the first time today? Not seeing any hands. Welcome everyone. If it is the first time, or if you would like to have a welcome packet, you can contact the office to receive one of those. And who is joining us from out of state or out of country today? Please wait. All right, I see Sandy. And I see Leon. All right, awesome, great. We're so glad that you're here with us. And now at this time in our service, we do our prayer requests. And rather than say them aloud for all to hear, we invite you to speak the name or request silently or aloud in the privacy of your home or of your heart if you're here in person. I want to give thanks in advance for these prayers.
and we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. Today's daily word for Sunday, March 13th is light. The light of truth dissolves all darkness. A bird's cheerful song interrupts the quiet of the night. The dark sky grows lighter and puffy clouds begin to glow with a beautiful shade of pink. Brilliant rays announce the sun's arrival. The sun peeks over the horizon, flooding the new day with light. Light dissolves darkness and my consciousness in a similar way. At a challenging time, my heart responds to the hopeful thought that this too shall pass. Hope grows into faith as my mind opens to divine wisdom that is always mine to claim. Guided by the dawning light of truth, I see the way forward and follow it with confidence. As surely as each new day brings a sunrise, my faith assures me in the light of truth that will dissolve the darkness of any obstacle I face. John 1:5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. Meditation.
In the silence. In the silence, there is a sacred place. A secret meeting place. Love is there. In the silence, where every color blends and every rainbow wins, good is there. In the light, now you find that you know peace of mind. In the silence, your path is paved in gold, and all your dreams unfold. Love is there. Peace is there. Truth is there. God is there.
Now I invite you to sit back, close your eyes, and relax for meditation. Unity has a 5-step process for entering the silence, and I will take you through it today as we go into meditation. The first is relaxation. Let's begin by relaxing the body and the mind. So uncross your arms and legs. Find a comfortable position. Take several deep breaths. Saying to yourself, I'm completely and totally relaxed. Just feel a wave of relaxation move from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. The second step is called meditation. This is where we begin to use affirmations to relax for meditation, to focus on God, on peace, on love. So, I'm now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. It is not I, but the Christ within who does the work. I am now peaceful and serene. I know that God and I are one. And there is only God. Just feel the truth of these affirmations. And the next step is concentration, where we focus our entire attention consciously on God, the singleness of mind. And this is a good place to use a mantra. And at this time, let us use the mantra, I am, which is the great creative word of God. Just silently keep repeating, I am, and watch your thoughts go by. Just keep saying the mantra. Just notice your thoughts and keep saying the mantra. And that will take you into the fourth step, which is realization, the silence. But for a few minutes first, just say the mantra to yourself. And then we'll continue right into the silence, where you just move beyond thought to knowing God. So that was the fourth stage, the silence, where we just wait and listen. And the fifth and final step is thanksgiving. Giving thanks to God in advance for any prayer requests we may have and for answered prayer. So we just say thank you, God, for all that we have received in these few moments of silence. We are grateful for your presence in our lives. We give thanks for the power of prayer and meditation to guide us and direct us in all that we do. Thank you for guiding, directing, and protecting our loved ones. Thank you for your healing love that moves through every cell of our bodies, renewing, restoring, and strengthening us. Thank you for prosperity and abundance for ourselves and for this spiritual community. And we say thank you for peace on earth. We are grateful for all of our blessings. Thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
This is a song from George Harrison about meditation, I think. Without going out of my door, I can know all things on earth. Without looking out of my window, I could know the ways of heaven. The farther one travels, the less one knows, the less one really knows. Without going out of your door, you can know all things on earth. Without looking out of your window, you can know the words of heaven. The farther one travels, the less one knows, the less one really knows. Arrive without traveling, see without looking, drive without traveling, feel without touching, see without looking, know without asking.
Thank you, Bruce. That's a song I haven't heard. I don't remember that song by George Harrison.
It's from the period when they were, I think, doing their spiritual work in India.
I love George Harrison. He was my favorite. All right. Well, since Thursday is St. Patrick's Day, I'll start with 2 riddles and a joke. The first one is, I can remember it. Okay. What do you call a fake stone in Ireland?
Learning?
A shamrock. Why shouldn't you iron a 4-leaf clover? You might be pressing your luck. I'll move on to the joke. It's about O'Reilly, of course. And O'Reilly said, I went out drinking on St. Patrick's Day, so I took a bus home. Now that may not sound like a big deal to you, but I've never driven a bus before. I just had to honor St. Patrick's Day a little bit. Wish you a happy one and a safe one. So the lesson today is de-stressing with prayer and meditation. And you know, in Unity and New Thought churches have a reputation for being light-oriented and for focusing only on the positive. And that's all well and good. I mean, certainly that is what we aim for. It is an ideal. And yet, we do ourselves harm if we ignore or deny the negative, the shadow, that which we prefer not to look at in ourselves and in our world. You know, I've been teaching a class based on a book called Moving Through Grief by Gretchen Kubacki, a health psychologist and a bereavement facilitator. And the most important idea stressed is that resisting, denying, and avoiding pain or distressing feelings and thoughts actually makes them worse. You know, I'm one of those unity teachers who believes that as we become willing to face our personal collective shadow, pain and suffering, then we find and discover healing. After diving deeply into the via negativa, as theologian Matthew Fox calls daring the dark, we then need to focus on the via positiva, as unity would also agree. So first, let's take a brief dive for now into the via negativa for a few minutes. And it doesn't always feel comfortable, but I think it's important. This is a time of increasing stress in our world, and therefore in our own personal lives. The American Psychological Association reports that 75% of us suffer from some form of stress on a weekly basis. While occasional stress is normal, problems emerge when it becomes chronic. They can include headaches, insomnia, heart disease, digestive problems, depression, anxiety, insomnia, and more. In an article by Mary Laura Shear, she says that stress is rooted in the body's fight or flight response, what's called the sympathetic nervous system. So say a car swerves into your lane of traffic on the highway, and your body immediately responds by releasing two hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, into your system. And what adrenaline does, it pumps up your heart rate and increases your energy. And meanwhile, cortisol slows down the body functions that you don't immediately need. When the danger passes, hormone levels return to normal and you relax. At least that's how it's supposed to work. If you have constant stress, your hormone levels stay high and your body cannot rest and repair itself. And it is not only potential car accidents that cause stress. It also thrives on worry about finances, about children, grandchildren, politics, retirement, even taking a vacation. So in addition, we can now add to that a combination of COVID, of the earth warming, the warming of our planet and the environmental destruction being caused with fires and excess and tornadoes and hurricanes and flooding, and on it goes, and other issues that are troubling to us now, such as the divisiveness in our country, the threat even of losing our own democracy, and the rise of white nationalism and the violence that goes with it. So all of that, well, on top of that, there's war in Ukraine now, and the distressing images and the helplessness we feel. Amidst a silent specter of possible chemical or nuclear war, you know, it has amped up the stress level dramatically. Do you feel it? Yeah, everyone's shaking their head. Most of us have enough to deal with without any of that. But as Jean Houston says, this is the time and we're the people. And when we think about how many people have left the planet over the few years, and here we are for a reason, it seems to be true. Here we are sitting in the midst of earth-shattering change. You know, I found myself, as some of you have, in front of the TV over the last few weeks, looking at some of those devastating images. You know, the bombing of neighborhoods, children crying. There was one man who had just lost his entire family, and he was going through the rubble in his yard trying to find anything. And in that moment, somebody brings his cat to him, who he thought was also gone. It was a really touching moment. And then some of the other images are a senior woman being helped to safety in what looked like a laundry basket on wheels, and pregnant women crying as they're helped out of their destroyed hospital. This goes kind of on and on. Journalists running for their lives, civilians dead in the streets, and hearing people are beginning to die from dehydration because they can't get to water or food. And there's such sadness at the thought of it being an invasion and seeing these innocent people suffering because of one person's insane need for more power. And yet at the same time, their resistance and willingness to fight to the death for their freedom also brings tears. One exercise we did in the grief class is to feel our feelings. So just right now in this moment, as I've been talking about this, and as it invokes what you've been watching too, just take a moment and feel your feelings. See what the feeling is. And where in your body are you feeling it? Try to define where in your body. It's one of the best ways to analyze our feelings, to get hold of them. And when you find that place in your body, then just take a few moments and breathe into that place. Perhaps it's in your heart center, your solar plexus, wherever it is, just breathe into it until you just feel the tension ease and a little bit of calmness restored. I highly recommend the book Moving Through Grief. It has a number of exercises. So this is a very powerful one to do periodically when your feelings are really getting to you. But let us focus now for a minute on the via positiva. Some images that caused me to shed happier tears were seeing some scenes in some bunkers. One was a Ukrainian theater troupe performing a play in their bomb shelter. Another was a violinist playing her violin, but with a clothespin on the string so it wasn't too loud. And a little child singing Let It Go from Frozen in her language. And then the Kiev Symphony out on the street playing their signature song in Ukraine, Ode to Joy. Inspiration can help our stress, but even more, I recommend prayer and meditation. I see prayer as the all-inclusive umbrella that includes meditation. It can also include walking, dancing, singing, chanting, even thinking. Said that thoughts are prayers. Prayer's always really been important to me from childhood on. And I remember I got quite a start in a ministerial school. Some of you have heard my story of this, but my mother ended up in the hospital. I was in Missouri in school, and she was in Utah, and she ended up in an unconscious, non-responsive state in the hospital. And so I was out of state. I couldn't do a thing, except I called her brother and had him go to the hospital. I called the Unity minister in Salt Lake and said, please pray for my mother. And I went into the Silent Unity building. So I was on the Unity Village grounds and turned her name in so they would all pray for her. And then I went myself and sat near their garden and just felt the energy in that building. Is, over 100 years of cumulative prayer is very powerful. And I prayed for her.
And I was calling the hospital every day and asking her status. I called the nurse's station. And about 2 days later, when I called, I asked how she was, and the nurse said, just a minute. And then my mother's on the phone with me, and she's fine, she's lucid, and she says, Kathy, you won't believe it. I was in this really dark place, and all of a sudden, all this light came and brought me out, and I know I was saved by prayer. So that was a powerful affirmation, the truth of how prayer works in my very first week of ministerial school. So, prayer is the foundation of unity. We say it every week. And unity believes that prayer is the way to God realization and to individual transformation. And that it's through the activity of prayer that we come to know God, ourselves, and others, and our relationship to the whole. So, as you know, unity began over 132 years ago as a result of Myrtle Fillmore and her personal experience with prayer and meditation. And through that experience, Myrtle and her husband, Charles, began praying with others about their prayer needs. So this was the foundation of the movement. And through the work of Silent Unity, that prayer ministry continues today. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, people from all around the world call the Silent Unity telephone prayer line. And the prayer ministry associates received millions of telephone prayer requests a year, not to mention emails and letters. So it was through Myrtle's spiritual awakening that she came to see herself as a child of God and to understand that as such, she could not inherit the disease of tuberculosis that she had been told she had her whole life. She was dying in her early 40s. And Myrtle Fillmore then spent time daily in prayer after she had a revelation and heard someone say, you are a child of God and therefore you do not inherit illness. She took that affirmation and used it daily. She apologized to her cells and her organs for calling them less than perfect and whole, and visualized her healing and wholeness. And this is an excerpt of what she said. She said, I told the life in my liver, it was not torpid or inert, but full of vigor and energy. I told the life in my stomach it was not weak or insufficient, but energetic, strong, and intelligent. I told the life in my abdomen it was no longer infested with ignorant ideas of disease put there by myself and my doctors, but that it was all a thrill with the sweet, pure, wholesome energy of God. I told my limbs that they were active and strong. I told my eyes they did not see of themselves, but they expressed the sight of spirit, and that they were drawing on an unlimited source. I told them they were young eyes, bright eyes, clear eyes, because the light of God shone through them. I told my heart that the pure love of Jesus Christ flowed in and out through its beatings, and that all the world felt its joyous pulsation. This dedicated prayer time brought Myrtle such wonderful results that they inspired others to seek her help with their prayer needs. You know, humor is another important aspect of the via positiva, or the positive life, as well. And here are a few humorous memories about prayer. From San Francisco. When I was a child, I learned the prayer as, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I always thought that was God's real name, Howard.
And from Groton, Massachusetts, my mother spent her early childhood saying, "Hail Mary, full of grapes." And two more, Oak Harbor, Washington. A man says, when my older brother was very young, he always walked up to the church altar with my mother when she took communion. On one occasion, he tugged at her arm and asked, "What does the priest say when he gives you the bread?" Mom whispered something in his ear. Imagine his shock many years later when he learned the priest doesn't say, "Be quiet until you get to your seat." And finally, in Grand Junction, Colorado, when I was younger, I believed the line was, "Lead a snot into temptation." I thought I was praying for my little sister to get into trouble. Unity's prayer method includes affirmative prayer and the silence. And we don't advocate beseeching prayer, "Dear God, help me, please." I mean, sometimes we revert back to that, but affirmative prayer is far more effective. The metaphor I always like to use is imagine yourself in a small little cabin, and the door's closed, and the windows are boarded up, and it's very dark, and you're inside saying, "Please, sun, shine. Please, sun, shine." But affirmative prayer allows you to take those boards off the windows and to open the door and let the light shine into the darkest corners. Why? Because the sun is a metaphor for God. God is always shining. God is always present. God is. And so we're not praying to change some God up there, out there, some bearded fellow in the sky. We're praying to change our consciousness, to condition our consciousness. And that's the power of affirmative prayer. We're conditioning it with the truth, because prayer is to change us, to condition our consciousness so we receive and know God more fully into our hearts. And this is the power of that kind of prayer. The silence that we talk about in unity represents that still place within, beyond all thought, where we meet the divine. And certainly meditation helps us get there. So in Unity, we teach this 5-step method that I took you through in our meditation today. And it's very similar to our Sunday meditations, although sometimes they're not in the same order. But just let me reiterate it again. So the first stage is relaxation. This is where we begin to relax the body and the mind. The second stage is called meditation, but it's actually just the beginning of meditation, where we begin to speak affirmations that remind us that we're one with God somehow, or that God is present. So God and I are one is a good one. On Sunday, sometimes we say, "I'm now in the presence of pure being." There is only God. And so this is that stage where we begin. It's called meditation in this 5-step method. And then the third one is concentration. Concentration. And concentration is then when we begin to focus our whole being on God. And this is really a great place to do the mantra. Because, and a mantra is a 1 or 2 syllable word. And like Om, Gandhi used Rama because that's the Hindu name for God, or whatever word you would want, Christ, peace, love, and just say it over and over. And then the 4th stage is realization. So the more we speak the mantra, and that takes us into the stage of realization, which is the silence, where we move beyond thought and we experience the silence.
And that is that place of communion with God. And the minute we realize we're there, we're back. So, we just want to rest in it as we can. And then finally, the last stage is Thanksgiving. And that's where we give thanks for any prayers we have. So give thanks in advance for answered prayers. And so we may have prayer requests in that place as well. So this is, as I said, similar to what you might experience on a Sunday morning. But I want to go back to number 3, step 3 for a minute, which is concentration, and that's the place of the mantra. And just talk about the idea of the mantra for a minute. This is repeated over and over and over. How many of you use a mantra? So it's a sound then. The thing is, sound takes us beyond words and thought, and that's the power of the mantra, to take us into God realization. So it becomes very important for our inner communion. Transcendental meditation is the way that I learned about the mantra, the power of the mantra. And I'm going to digress here to mention its founder, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. I mention him because Maharishi was known for developing and popularizing transcendental meditation, or TM, and for being the leader and guru of a worldwide organization that has been characterized in multiple ways. But I'm not an advocate of gurus, but I think it's interesting to know where the mantra came from in our country. The Maharishi is reported to have trained more than 40,000 TM meditators, or teachers, rather, and taught the TM technique to more than 5 million people, and founded thousands of teaching centers, hundreds of colleges, universities, and schools in several countries. In 1967, the Maharishi's fame increased, and his movement gained greater prominence. And do you know why? Why?
Beatles.
The Beatles. Yeah, he became the spiritual advisor to the Beatles. And following the Beatles' endorsement of TM during 67 and 68, Maharishi appeared on American magazine covers such as Life and Newsweek and Time, and spoke for huge crowds in New York City and Harvard Sanders Hall. And he also appeared on The Tonight Show and Today TV shows. Maybe you remember. So, did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That was before I was born.
I know, you're younger. That's why I asked. Yeah. So we date ourselves when we say we remember. But today, hundreds of published research studies have found the TM technique to be highly effective for stress-related conditions, brain function, and cardiovascular health. And that is the important part of bringing up the mantra, and why I'm talking about it, because it's also the most effective form of meditation for Westerners. I highly recommend it. One does not have to go through the TM meditation. You just simply begin to use a mantra of your choice. So once again, these 5 steps of prayerful meditation are relaxation, just relaxing mind and body; meditation, where we begin to speak affirmations to help us know our oneness with God. 3 is concentration, where we concentrate our whole mind on the divine, but we do it through using a mantra. And when you're using a mantra, as thoughts go through, just let them pass. If you feel an itch, scratch it. If you hear a sound, just notice it and keep saying the mantra. And if you realize you're caught up in a thought and you've stopped, then just start saying it again. And at the very least, you'll have a relaxing meditation. And hopefully, some of those times you'll have that experience of the total silence and communion with God. Now, we each need all the prayer we can get right now, right? And why is it so important for prayer? Let me just tell you a few reasons. It changes our thinking as it calms, uplifts, and renews us. It frees us from stress. It releases the highest form of energy in the universe as it links us with the God energy that is our source. It stirs into action an atomic force and releases a potent spiritual vibration. It helps us accomplish whatever we do in shorter amounts of time, and it activates the working of higher laws. And these are a few powerful ones. It releases a spiritual force that shatters fixed states of mind and crashes through negative thought strata. It makes us more irresistible to our good. And finally, it has been proven to work. The real question is, why then would we not pray? Also, just let me remind you, every single week after service, we have a prayer chaplain here to pray with you. And whether it's by phone or now that we're in person, sometimes it will be live as well. So Wendy's here today, she'll be live. But also, if you call her and she doesn't answer, she'll call you back. And so sometimes it will be live, but it will always be by phone, virtually too. So take advantage of that incredible opportunity to have someone pray with you, especially through this time of greater stress. Even if you're not feeling anything specific, just to join in prayer is going to help you physiologically and psychologically through this time. It's very powerful. I highly recommend it. And just to be in that energy with another person. And remember what Jesus said, wherever two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of you. And so it's definitely something worth doing. And I'd like to close with a Facebook message that a Unity person sent to me, and it's beautifully written by a shaman named Jamie Meyer. It's called Putin, Springtime, and Liminal Space. We are in the most dangerous time. I'm not really talking about Ukraine, but it's part of the larger picture. In the northern climates, winter is just beginning to release its grasp, and more visible signs of spring are beginning to emerge. But because the days get above freezing and the nights dip down below, this is actually the most dangerous time for slipping and falling, with many patches of smooth ice often hidden under a thin layer of new snow. This roller coaster between the melt and the refreeze is where we are on the wheel of weather, and it's also where we are psychically. In Celtic myth, this is the story of Beira, the goddess of winter, fighting against Brigid, the bringer of springtime. It's the pendulum between the old, trying to hold on to its waning power, and the new shape of things inexorably emerging. We know winter is done for. We know spring cannot be held back. In this liminal time, we need to take even greater care in our steps than we had to in the depths of January. You and I cannot have a direct effect on what's happening in Ukraine. So where can we put this energy rising up in us, the fear and the grief? First, try to expand your view and have faith that Ukraine is a very visible form of the melt refreeze. Putin is a dinosaur, but even the last T-Rex on Earth is very dangerous. The world's reaction to his invasion shows a unity we have not seen in a long time, the kind of unity that must emerge if we will actually attend to the most serious global issues. This is the new world emerging.
Nature moves slowly. We are in a hurry because we are filled with grief and fear, and the new world cannot arrive soon enough for us, but it will take the time it takes. In the meantime, each of us can only do what the Buddhists advise. Take a few moments to consciously not numb the sadness and run from it. When we run or numb, we leave our body and we leave the present moment. We have to be in the present moment. And in our body, to be in a place of useful power for our life. So take a few moments to formally and prayerfully acknowledge the fear and sadness or whatever emotion comes up. Take a few moments each day to try this practice. And he says, I suggest doing each breath several times. Take time to sink into this practice. And feel free to do it as I speak it. Just breathing in. I know the sadness is here. Breathing out. I say hello to the sadness. Breathing in. I come home to my body. Breathing out. I know I am home in my body. Breathing in, I welcome the new world. Breathing out, I release the old world. So as you do this, it not only helps to calm your body, it sends this new consciousness into the field of energy to help feed the emergence of the new world. So that's beautifully put, I think. Very much of what we've been focusing on in the grief class, but put in a mythic context. I always love myth. You know, every prayer we utter or have prayed for us does the same. It helps us feed the emergence of the new world. Every relaxation exercise, every meditation, every effort of self-care feeds the greater collective and the new world. So we give thanks in advance for this bright, beautiful, conscious, loving, and peaceful new world. We give thanks for prayer and meditation to commune with the divine. And may peace be with us all. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Kathy. I especially liked your story about your mother and being in such a dark place and how all that love and help from others really made a difference. I have a song from the previous century. It's called Let Love Carry You Along. It was recorded by a group called Joy of Cooking. You may or may not remember it. We're not going to admit it. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. You can sing that chorus with me anytime you want to. Times when you feel tired, everything seems wrong. You wake up in the morning and you think that the day's gonna be too long. You need somebody to talk to, but your best friend's not around. You're looking out the window and everybody looks so alone. Here we go. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. The world's in a new situation. You know that's nothing new. You think that you'd like to change it, but you don't know what to do. Sometimes when you try to pick things up, somebody tries to put you down. Think it's time to maybe run away? Well, that's the time to stick around. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. Some people make you happy, others put you uptight. Some people talking about peace and love when they really want to start a fight. Some people want to be leaders and they don't care who they lead. You've got to use your own discretion. You got to find out what you need. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along. You just lean back. Let love carry you along.
Thank you, Bruce. All right, this is a point in our service when we do our offering. And if you're here in person, we invite you to put it in the basket on the way out. Otherwise, you can always donate online on our website with the donate button. And I just invite you to hold your offering in your hand or in your heart, and together we'll say the offering blessing. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful.
God is the source, each of us channels, guiding the good, flowing divine, one endless source, infinite blessings, praise the Creator. Thy will is mine.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you for all of your wonderful music today. All right, this is the time we'll do our community news and announcements. First of all, just want to give a wrap-up from the auction. We have the final total. It is $2,418. So just want to say thank you to everyone that made donations and to everyone that bought items. We're considering that a very nice success for our first attempt at doing an online auction. So appreciate that. And emails have gone out to all of the donors, along with telling you who won your items. If you have not received that from me, check your spam email or give me a call and we'll make sure to do that. And if you haven't heard from the person that you bought something from, also let me know that and I can facilitate that connection as well. Just want to make sure everybody gets their items. And other upcoming events are the Unity North Visioning Evening on Zoom, facilitated by Reverend Kathy. We invite you to join Reverend Kathy and our Board of Trustees
as we engage in 2 evenings of powerful visioning process for Unity North. The first part will be Tuesday, March 29th, and the second part will be Tuesday, April 19th, both times from 6:30 to 8:30 Central Time, and it'll all be on Zoom. And everyone is welcome, but we do ask that you register as soon as possible on the website because we need to know how many handouts and make sure that we get the handouts to the people ahead of time since everything is on Zoom. And also coming up is a class, Bible Bits, Who Was Jonah Really? With Carol. And that will be on Wednesday, March 23rd and March 30th at 7 p.m. And the class will be a 2-evening look at the book of Jonah from a different perspective. And you can also register for that on our website. And Family Table Drive-Through is Thursday, March 24th at 5 p.m. If you would like to help pack and serve the meals, please contact Kathleen, and her phone number is listed there, as well as the email address for the outreach team. And Family Promise Hosting Week for Unity North is April 3rd through Saturday, April 9th. If you would like to volunteer to help with the Promise Hosting Week, please contact Kathleen again by phone or email. And be sure to contact Kathleen before you purchase any items, as they have a specific list that they work from, I believe. And our ongoing events are the Monday evening chat with Gina. And those are at 7 p.m. by Zoom. Anyone who's interested can join those at any time. And the men's group meets the second Thursday in person and the fourth Thursday on Zoom at 7 p.m. And if you need information about that, you can contact Jim at the number listed there. And their next meeting is on the 24th via Zoom. And as stated, our prayer chaplain today is Wendy Erickson. You can contact her after service. And March 17th is St. Patrick's Day, and may the luck of the Irish be with all of you. Reverend Kathy will do our prayer protection.
Okay, first I just want to say, let's thank Wanda for all her efforts with the auction, too. Fabulous job. All right, and thank you today to our team. For Tracy and Nancy, they're showing their muscles in the back. Great job. And also thank you to Bruce. Wonderful music today. All right. So let's do our prayer for protection together. Together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And feel free, those of you who are here, to stand for our peace song. Stand and to stay in place. And if you want to.
Here we go. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as our Creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Please stick around for our social time. We'd like to ask what our virtual people have to say first before it gets a little noisy in here so we can still hear everyone. I see Candy has a little baby there she's holding up. Very
She's always so
sweet.
smiley when she has him.
What'd you say?
Yeah, cute.
He woke up in the
So
middle of
anyone
church,
have
so I had to
anything to
grab him.
share?
I think Candy's trying to talk.
Okay.
I'm working on it.
Okay, they're working on the sound. So we're having to get back in the groove again, so it may take a few minutes, and hopefully we'll get it today. Let her know when she can try.
Okay, now try.
Okay, Candy, can you say something? Give it a try.
Well, he really enjoyed the music. He really honed in on the music, but I had to leave in the middle of the service because he woke up. So he's getting a little fussy, but came to his first Unity service.
What we can do to change and improve. So anyway, happy you're all here today. Anybody here have anything to
Thank you,
share?
I gotta go.
The quiet group. Okay, well, sorry we can't connect as far as hearing what you have to say, everybody, but glad you could be with us today. Have a great week. That's okay, Nancy. I had to remember, I couldn't remember my code anymore on there. It's like, I've been gone 2 months and it's gone. Get my mask on. Nice to see you here,
Thank you, nice to be back.
live.